Oh, here we go. Go for it.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lions Den podcast, Monday Night Football Victory Monday. We're a little bit shorthanded tonight, just myself and our guest host, assistant host, the one and only Carlos Club Leon in English. So let's turn it over to him. We got a lot to talk about regarding Club Leon's victory over San Luis and their quick turnaround to the next match against Mazatlan. So, take it away, Carlos.
All right. Thanks for the intro, Louis. Awesome job. All right, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is episode, what is it? I'm lost. I think it's like 48, 49, 48. 48. We're about to hit 50. All right. So let's get started. Louis, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing well, man. I got a lot of good results yesterday. Not just the Leon, which was the most important as always. But I got a really good result. My Seattle Seahawks beating Dallas Cowboys. I'm not going to bully Kari too much because she's not here to defend herself. But yes,
She might be watching.
If she's watching, yes, Kari, I want to remind you that my Seattle Seahawks beat your Dallas Cowboys yesterday in Seattle, and then my Portland Timbers also got a solid win in the nightcap. But of course, the most important is and will always be Leon. As long as Leon wins, it's going to be a good day for me.
Yeah, pretty good win. It's we haven't lost since I think it's match day 2 against Cruz Azul, so we have a pretty good streak going on right now.
We do 9 unbeaten for any Puma fans who might be counting, who wanted to get to 11 and didn't. Don't want to alarm you, but Leon has a pretty decent chance to get to that mark of 11 straight unbeaten. Not like it means anything to us.
It doesn't.
Considering a year ago we won 12 straight games, which is a much more difficult and much more impressive feat. But it's just funny to me to think that we could get to 11 wins like nothing, and for Pumas it was like the end all be all to get to that number of 11 straight unbeaten.
11 straight unbeaten, and we've kind of done it without having our foot on the gas pedal all the way. We've kind of just played some games like, we're halfway there, halfway not. Just depends on the rival, I think. But
which is funny that you and I are the only ones on tonight, because we've been, I'd say, the most at odds this season with one another about what our style of play what the type of result or how our wins look like means for our prospects moving forward towards the end of the season and going into when the games really matter.
Yeah, we'll get into
that. We'll get into that. But it's just I don't know. That's pretty interesting, because I know you haven't always been thrilled when they don't put their foot on the gas pedal that you just mentioned.
I mean, for me, honestly, in retrospect, I think it just depends on it really depends a lot on the opponent. Like I feel like. We'll get into it in a little bit. Let's just go over.
Okay.
Go over,
I agree with you. I agree with you on that, though. Just as a little prelude, I agree with you. I had a lot to say about that, so we'll get to that in a bit.
All right. So let's just go over the team news real quick and the starting lineup, and then we'll get to talk about the game. So I had 3 major headlines yesterday. Rodolfo Cota, Jefecito, and Aquino were all called up to their national teams this week. I think they're the only ones who have been called up. Obviously, we heard about Jefecito, which we'll talk about later, suffering that injury yesterday. And also, we had Cota, who didn't play yesterday. But I think Poncho Blanco did a great job. I mean, he wasn't very busy, but I think he did a great job as a backup keeper. I really have trust in him. I feel like even when Cota's missing, like we feel secure just having him, on goal. And then most important one, I think, was Jesus Martinez saying in an interview that he wants to keep Nacho Ambriz at Leon since Nacho Ambriz's contract is coming to an end next summer. But the larger plans, the longer plans, hopefully would be to keep Ambris at Leon. What do you think?
Yeah, well, first to touch on the Poncho Blanco point, I agree with you. He had maybe he maybe had two saves to make last night, and he made both of them. That's what you ask from your
Yeah.
backup keeper. You know,
And
luckily
from
we have
team who's struggling too.
a team who's struggling, but whose best asset is obviously their attack.
Yeah.
They weren't gonna beat us shutting down our front four. You know, our attacking core. They were gonna beat us by having really good night attacking wise, and that didn't really play out. But the couple of semis.
Cut off.
The
a little bit.
Ambris thing,
No, you're good.
Am I on? Am I good?
Yeah, you're good.
The Ambris thing, I think it's good to show faith in him because he hasn't made it any sort of secret that he has bigger aspirations than Club Leon, which you can't blame the man for. He already has some experience as an assistant in Europe, and I think he could do good things in a similar role, or even in a head coaching position for perhaps a smaller but still first division European club, or perhaps the Selección Mexicana, which he has stated he wants. And extending his contract doesn't guarantee that if one of those opportunities comes up, he wouldn't still take it.
Right.
But I think it's good to show that confidence in him, because if you don't show that confidence in him, he's likely to just at the first sign of something not going right, he's much more likely to jump ship. Yeah. So I think it's a good show of confidence to the man who's responsible for the most enjoyable epoca of Club Leon football that I've been able to witness. That's for sure.
Even Matosas?
I kind of came in on the tail end of that. Like okay. I wasn't going to games yet. Certainly seeing the last bit of. I guess I did go to some games in his very last season, which was not a very fruitful one.
Mm-hmm.
So I did see a few games that he was still a part of, but the gloriousness of that era, I don't consider myself really around for yet. It was what made me get interested in the team, but I wasn't nearly what I am with the team now then. So I got to give it to Nacho Ambris.
Yeah. I know a lot of fans would have a really interesting debate about which team is more dynamic or more entertaining to watch, whether this one or Matosas is. And I think people would probably go with Matosas just because of the championships that we won.
Yeah, I mean, you got to choose your words carefully. Like the most I think I said most enjoyable. That I'm not going to say best because best is defined with title. I mean,
yeah,
winning 2 straight titles. That's just there's no criteria to say that Ambris' Epoca is better yet. Now, if he gets one. If he has the one and he has the record of the season with the 12 wins and the getting to the final, and then another season where he wins a title, then there's much more of a debate there. For now, Matosas still has the edge there. But in terms of like games, going to games regularly and seeing just great football every time, I got to give it to Ambris for my era anyway.
Yeah, it's up for the debate. All right, so let's go into the starting lineup. We basically had the same starting lineup as the previous 2 matches, with the exception of the goalie. This time we had Poncho Blanco on goal. Any surprises to you? Any movements besides just the goalie that you would have preferred?
Nah, I mean, I think this is going to be the lineup where we're going to. I mean, I said before, I think Meneses is. I mean, he's just got an extra. He's got an extra panache to his game that Avión Ramírez doesn't have. But Avión Ramírez, you can't, as we said last time, you can't justify taking him out of the lineup right now. I mean, the guy's just putting in work. I don't know. A lot of people are calling for Campbell instead of Nico Sosa because Nico Sosa still doesn't have his goal. Yeah. Now the pressure's on even more because his brother Sebastián in Querétaro finally notched his first goal in Liga MX, and I just felt like there were people waiting for that to happen so they could tirarle a Nico. We're okay, your brother got one. Why haven't you? I thought that was kind of crass and unnecessary on their part. You could tell a lot of people just were waiting for that so that so that their criticisms of Nico would be justified. And I don't know. I just think Nico's part of the plan now. I think Nacho trusts him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's putting in good work without scoring. And I think he's a nuisance and he's a workhorse. He's kind of like Avion, like maybe a little bit limited technically, but just going in there and putting in work. You can't. I mean, Avion is playing on the wing now, a position from which you might expect a few goals, but
Right.
nobody's calling on him to score. We mentioned last week it'd be nice if he would, but nobody's calling on him to score in the same way that they are Nico Sosa. So I guess those would be the only two I would still say. Nothing's changed from my opinion last week. Those would be the only two I would question.
Mm-hmm.
The rest, and I wouldn't even question them that hard. Because I like having the kind of quality of Meneses and Campbell coming off the bench. I mean, you have those guys coming off the bench. Those are the kind of guys that the big spender clubs bring off the bench, and that people are always complaining like we don't have that kind of player to bring off the bench. Well, if Nico and Avion are good enough to start, and you can bring kind of guys like those off the bench, I mean, now we're talking about a kind of depth that people will think, maybe they do have the pieces necessary to make a title run. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It seems like we have a little deeper bench this season, especially with those two second subs in the second half. I mean, what a luxury it is to have those two guys coming off the bench.
Well, that's what we thought at the beginning, and then there were so many guys not really on form that were like, well, the depth is only useful if the guys are on form. And Meneses, at least, Campbell's still not getting really enough time. I don't know what that dude's going to have to do to
he needs to earn off the rust,
to earn the trust back. On paper, he should be our best player. I mean, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
And that's just not been the case. Meneses, I mean, two straight sub appearances coming in and scoring pretty much within a few minutes of coming on. I mean, that is a best case scenario.
I think he's trying to make his case for getting that starting position back. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely, and I mean that's the best possible way he can make the argument. I mean, there's nothing better you can. What do you say?
But who do you take out? Do you sub him in for Avion, who's been playing wonderful, or I mean, where do you make that?
Well, I mean, that's the question. Nico, but he's not really designed to play behind a number 9. That's kind of Campbell's problem too. Like, well, Campbell doesn't where do you put him, and where do you put Meneses? I mean, Meneses has got to be on the wings. I mean, and I feel like he's got to be on the left wing. To be honest with you, he came in and he scored off of the right wing with his right foot, which I thought was really interesting. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's got a lot of technique and he's got a lot of precision on his shots when he's on form. I don't know. It's the only person I could really see you taking out in favor of him is Avion. But again, you can't take out Avion right now. You just can't. I mean, Avion's on just a great run of form. His work rate is incredible. You just can't. You can't take him off right now. Now, yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say, Meneses has a couple more games, sub appearances like the ones that he has. We might be having a different conversation, heading into Liguilla.
Yeah.
But for now, because in Liguilla you need special players to make special plays. The games are close. The games are tough. The defenses sit back. They get really physical. Tigres has won 4 or 5 titles in the last 8 years, playing not to lose. Mm-hmm. Essentially, and you need players who can get in behind and take advantage of that. I see Meneses being more of that kind of player than Avion is. But for now, I'm still going with my man Avion. But again, we could have a different conversation in a couple weeks.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Here's what I thought of. Pedro Aquino's getting called up to La Selección de Peru. Now he's going to be on for a couple of maybe a week and a half. He might come back out of rhythm. Hopefully not injured. God forbid. So I don't know. We might be opening a small space in there for Meneses since Ivan just went down. Who are we going to put in that position? So I mean, we've seen Meneses play that position before. What do you think? Do you think that he would fit in well playing next to Chapito? Or we
I
can
don't think
move,
that's
or we can move Navarro into that position and put Avion as a right back.
yeah, or you could bet the farm on a youngster like Saul Zamora. I think the good news is against Mazatlan, there's a little bit of opportunity there to monkey around a little bit,
To
to
shuffle, yeah.
experiment. I know we've complained about too much experimentation sometimes from Nacho Ambriz when he thinks that no matter. I mean, the soberbia that we've often talked about doesn't only affect the players. Sometimes it's affected Ambriz and his lineups and his experimentation. When he thinks, "Nah, we're playing Puebla, we're playing whoever," and we're gonna get the result no matter what. So let's just throw some guys out there and desearles suerte, and see what happens. And I'm glad that for the most part he stuck to his guns as best he can, given the absence for COVID and all that and stuff out of his control. But yeah, I mean that's not something I would have thought of probably. But I wouldn't be against it against Mazatlan. Against America, I don't know. But against Mazatlan, I wouldn't. I mean, I'd be okay with seeing him there. It's definitely a more offensive-minded midfield. Not so much about recuperación and contención, but much more of an attacking-minded offense. I think against Mazatlan that could be kind of fun to see. But yeah, at first I thought when you just mentioned that, I was like, Jefecito went down. It's at the end of the world. He's not on form, and we have Aquino, who's been our workhorse this season. But then I realized, Aquino got called up to Peru, and he might miss a match or two. And now what do we do?
We're gonna have to adjust our starting 11. Try to put somebody in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's move on. Let's move on to the game real quick. Let's talk about the goals. 19th minute on a corner kick. It was nicely set up set piece. Angel Mena, somewhat of a scissor kick, ends up scoring. Pretty good goal, right? I mean, he's getting back in shape. It seems like he's finally finding his form from previous seasons, and he's, I think, 4th place in the goal scoring table. So he's not
all
that
of a sudden,
he's not that far ahead from the first spot. Just imagine.
All of a sudden,
Yeah, I'm gonna say, just imagine if he would have converted all of those goals in from jornada 1 to 3, he'd be like near the top somewhere. But it's
the
good
two
that
great chances. The 2 great chances he had against Chivas, that would put him like right behind, pretty much right behind Jonathan, Cabecita for the lead. I'll say this about that goal. It was kind of like in baseball, you'd call that a CNI single. You get contact in the ball, and it just happens to roll through because the infielders are shifted or whatever. You get a little bit lucky. I don't think he got real lucky. He was not. I don't think he was trying to put that ball exactly on frame how and where he did. I just took a really lucky bounce where Werner, the keeper, couldn't get to it. But those are the kind of things that happen when to a team that's firing on all cylinders and against a team that's just struggling. Those are the kind of I don't know if you believe in karma in sports and things like that, but how often do you when it rains it pours? The when it rains it pours notion in sports. Like a team that's playing well, dominating, doing well, gets a shot like that, and it finds the hole and it goes through. And also, not to discount Mena's. I mean, he wasn't the mejor goleador in his first season with León for no reason. I mean, the guy has touch, the guy has skill, the guy is a seleccionado for Ecuador. He's an all-world player. I mean, he's a very, very quality player, and he's starting to find his form again. So not to take anything away, but it did feel a little bit like, I don't know, like that's
lucky.
Yeah, a little bit lucky. Those are the kind of things that happen to the team at the top of the table to keep them there.
Yeah. So it was a pretty close match up to the 70th minute. Well, not a pretty close match. I'm going to say León pretty much dominated, but there were a couple of chances that we gave up on a couple of defensive mistakes. But in the 70th minute, our man, Jan Meneses, once again comes through after subbing in, and he puts it on the right post. Pretty good play. Pretty nice play, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Exactly what you expect him to do. Exactly what he wants to do. And now here's the thing. Here's where we're going to disagree, Carlos, because for me, against a team like San Luis, that put the game away right there. Okay, they're already playing a man. They're already playing a man down. And they even said on the, I don't know which broadcast you watched, but here on ESPN, the guys were like, pues la verdad no veo por dónde saca el San Luis este San Luis con hombre de menos, o sea, puntos de este encuentro. Like there was just after that. I mean, there was probably no way even before that, but that against a team like San Luis put the game away, and a team like San Luis from the get-go isn't going to give you the same kind of test as the teams we're going to be fighting for a shot at the title with in Liguilla. A team like that's just not going to give you the test. So I think like I can understand against Pumas.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand against Pumas, which could theoretically be. I mean, they've been on a great run of form. They could theoretically be a team we face off against in a semifinal, or something like that. And the stakes are going to be a lot higher, and the situation is going to be a lot different. And they are a team that does have, at least playing with a full squad, does have the opportunity to come back from a 2-0 deficit and tie the game, which can be the difference between moving on and not in a Liguilla, obviously. I can understand it a little bit more there, but I'm like, this time I was like, 2-0 was game, set, and match. There's no way they're coming back from this at this point with him, especially with a man down. The second goal was the one that put it away. We do not need a third.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I
mean,
mean, look, there's certain teams that we need to flex our muscles against, and I think Pumas was one of those teams.
Mm-hmm.
San Luis, not really. I mean, I kind of felt bad for them, just seeing how much they struggle, how much they can't build a decent play. They haven't won. They're in the last positions. They have a man thrown off. I mean, it's a disaster for them. And I wouldn't want to beat them 5-0. I mean, just because we know they're not going to come back from 2-0, like you mentioned.
They probably weren't going to come back from 1-0, to be honest with you.
Well, but I mean, they did have that strike where they hit this crossbar.
Yeah, they had one. They had one really good chance.
Yeah. So I mean, So there's certain teams we need to flex our muscles against. Pumas is definitely one of those teams. So, and like you mentioned, they're one of the teams that could probably come back from a 2-0 deficit. San Luis, not so much. So that was the second goal in the 70th minute. Pretty good game. How do you feel about the game overall? Was we kind of played como medio gas. Do you agree?
Yeah, but as you know, you've really criticized that a lot more than I have. I want to see us get to Liguilla with fresh legs. And I know that we didn't need to exert any more of the energy than we did. Really, I said the same thing against Pumas, and I still believe that. I understand it's a different issue, flexing your muscles, like showing your grit and your worth against a team that everybody thinks is better than you, or the media wants to talk about a lot more than you. Or for all these reasons that have nothing to do with saving your legs for Liguilla. Again, San Luis beating San Luis either 1-0, 4-0, 3-2. You're not going to learn much about where you stack up when things get serious. Beating a team against like San Luis, no matter what the scoreline is or what the circumstances are. So I'm perfectly fine to see them, as I've said, dosificarse, like save it. Like this is not, you got this team under control, especially after the Meneses goal to double the lead. You got this under control. There's no need to break the bank and go for the third. There's just no need against a team like this. We're not going to learn anything from it. I mean, we humiliate a team that's already down and out, and probably like just makes us look bad. Like that game felt, except for the one chance that we talked about that went off the crossbar. I feel like the game was completely under control from start to finish.
Yeah. Well, I kind of like to think back to that Champions League match where Bayern Munich was just showing no mercy to Barcelona, one of the top teams in the world, and they scored 8 on them. They could have stopped at 4 or 5, but they didn't. So that's how I kind of
Yeah,
feel about
I mean,
us sometimes.
I don't know if you can really compare. I don't know if you can really compare the stage.
Yeah, the stage is different, but I'm speaking in terms of the level of the opposition and our team. If we're
Sure.
clearly superior, then just go for it. Go for the kill.
Well, let's consider that Champions League match at Liguilla. That's basically what it is.
Yep.
In Liguilla, I mean, if we have a chance to really run over a team in Liguilla, that's you got to do it. I mean,
do it.
again, but a match day 12 against San Luis, I can completely understand why they didn't. And I'm also in favor,
Well, historically in Liguilla matches, we haven't really done it. I mean, there's been plenty of games where we could have gone up by a larger margin and we didn't. Like the quarterfinals against Morelia, the LAFC game. There's been plenty of times where we missed freebies and we didn't convert and we ended up paying for them.
Absolutely.
So I feel like you got to build that killer instinct in the regular season and then take it with you into the postseason.
Yeah, but I mean, how do you balance that with playing against a bottom of the table team like San Luis? You're clearly dominating. Like killer instinct. Killer instinct. I think is a finite resource. I think like why waste it? It has to do not just with mentality, but like the energy you're spending, like running over a team that you don't need to run over to beat. Yes, I do think it's kind of a finite resource. It's kind of a strange way to put it, I suppose, but it's a finite resource. There's no reason to. I would have, in hindsight, I would have liked to see a little more of it. I'm with you. I would have liked to see a little more of it against Pumas. But against San Luis, that's the problem. You go from match of the week, to
playing
to just the not even the cherry on top of the sundae, of the next match day against like a team you're not even interested really in playing. Yeah. You're not going to learn anything about by beating, but you need the points. All the same, I didn't need more killer instinct in this one. I was happy with the amount of killer instinct that I saw.
Yeah,
and you have to think like the concern. Obviously, I think your concern. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think your concern is like what happens when you get down or you need to score. The problem is Leon has played at such a high level. They faced a deficit, I believe, only 3 times all season. Or maybe it was 4. I can't remember. I remember against Atlas when Renato Ibarra scored first. I remember when we went down 1-2 in the second half to Querétaro, and I remember obviously the 2-0 loss to Cruz Azul. But for that one, I give him a pass. That was like the second match of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Second match of the season after a long layoff. And again, so my point is the times that they've gotten down and needed to show that killer instinct to come back and get the result, they've done so.
Right.
They did so against Querétaro. They did so against Atlas. Obviously, those are not the same level of teams. Well, I don't know. Everybody makes it this year. And I know that in that repechaje round, here's the reason that it's so important to finish in the top 4. Because I know in that repechaje round, when play 5 through 12 in a one-off,
anything can happen.
In 90 minutes, anything can happen. There are going to be 2 or 3 upsets, I think, at least in that repechaje round. So I would say, no, Atlas and Querétaro aren't the kind of teams we might be playing in Liguilla, but they could both get in the repechaje, then move on to the round. And especially if we finish in first place, I mean, we'd likely square off against one of them in the quarterfinal, Now, getting way ahead of ourselves, I just wanted that aside because I'm like, yes, it's not the same against a team like Atlas or Querétaro, but those could be Liguilla teams this year. My point is, when we've needed to come from behind, except for that match day 2 against Cruz Azul, we've done so. Generally,
yep.
You can complain a little bit about when we should have gone up more against Tigres and they tied and we didn't get the result there. But other than that, I think they've done what they had to do in every situation, even if it's playing from behind.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and talk about individual performances. Let's talk about Avion. He had a pretty quiet game. Nothing like the game he had against Pumas. It was a little more quiet, didn't really have that many big runs like we're used to seeing him.
Yeah.
Not very many important plays either. I think he was subbed off early because of that. But what do you think? Individual performance for Avion rating?
Mm, I'll give him an 8. I don't have anything bad to say about him. I mean, he didn't have any bad giveaways, or I mean, he just didn't. It's hard to judge with him. He's playing in an offensive position, like as we were talking about before. He's being deployed in an attack-minded position. So you want to see him occasionally. You're like, man's putting in work, but maybe you want to see a little more from him, being a little bit more threatening in a shooting position, or just put a great cross in, or give a great assist, or anything like that. But I mean, I think it's going to be game to game from him whether he actually gets those opportunities to really shine. I can't remember like one important thing about his performance yesterday, but I also can't remember anything. I can't remember anything bad that he did, or like any bad giveaways or anything.
It was pretty much neutral.
Yeah,
it's pretty much neutral.
Neutral for me is generally an 8. Like anything less than that.
Yeah. I have to agree. I think an 8 is fair. Yeah. I mean, like you said, I feel like he should be more of an offensive threat, and I think, and I'm just going to throw this out there, I think there's going to be a surprise in the next starting lineup. I think Meneses is going to get his starting spot back, just because of what he's done coming off the bench. I mean, if you were on Brice, what would you prefer? Would you prefer a guaranteed goal? Or would you prefer Avion, who's just busting his ass out there?
Well, I do think it's very possible that Meneses starts now that we're remembering the absences of Aquino and Jefecito. So it depends on kind of how he decides to manage that. I think it's very possible that Meneses starts. Whether it's for Avion or not remains to be seen.
Yeah.
But
speaking about Meneses, let's go ahead and rate his performance.
Mm-hmm.
He played like, what was it, 30 minutes? Something like that?
25, 20. I think he came on like minute 65. I can't really remember.
Yeah, I don't know if, I don't know if that's enough time to give somebody a rating, but he did score. So I don't know. What do you think?
2 straight matches coming in and scoring. I mean, there's 2 ways of thinking about it. Like, does that mean like his skills are being squandered on sitting him on the bench and not having him in the starting lineup? Or do you want to have that threat coming off the bench in the 60th minute, a guy who can just go in and score?
Yeah.
Like there's 2 ways of to think about that.
Maybe he's another Campbell. Maybe he's another super sub that plays much better off the bench.
Yeah. I honestly don't know the answer to that question. I definitely see the possibility if he goes back to the starting lineup, he comes in and isn't nearly as effective. I do think there's that possibility. That we could be disappointed in his performance. In this one, I mean, when a guy comes in and scores to really put the game away, in this one 2-0 was the dagger. I mean, that's a good performance. I just don't. Again, I'm of 2 minds on the subject. I don't know if it's better. I don't know if it's better to. I don't know if his skills are better served as a starter or as a super sub. That's a hard thing. That's why I'm not the coach. Yeah.
So no rating here for Meneses.
What do you say?
No rating. You're not going to rate him.
Oh,
not enough time to rate, maybe.
If it were per 90 minutes, you know how in the NBA they do like the per 36 minutes type thing.
Yeah.
Per 90 minutes, I mean, the dude gets a 9 or even a 9.5. I mean, he came in and did everything best of him more in the minutes he was given.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with an 8.5 here. I honestly don't think 25 minutes is enough to rate someone's performance, especially when you're playing against a team that's down a man and a team whose legs are pretty much shot by the 60, 70th minute.
Yeah.
I mean, when you put a man like him in with his speed and his offensive firepower, I mean, you expect the outcome to be a goal at least. Against a team who's just absolutely struggling this season. They're a disaster over there.
Unexpectedly, somewhat. I remember they were a dark horse team for a lot of people coming into this
They were, because they picked up some good
tournament.
signings.
They had some good signings. I mean, they got Quiroga, and they got and even the guys they already have, at least on the attacking side. Yeah, they've been a major disappointment.
Yeah, and Ramiro got sent off. Good thing
And Ramiro got sent off.
Everyone was super mad that we sent off Ramiro instead of Barreiro, and now we're so glad we sent off Ramiro instead of Barreiro to Atletico.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, I lump it in the same thing with like Sebastian Sosa scored. We got the bad Sosa brother. You know, like look where Sebastian Sosa's team is in the standings. You know, would you really prefer that? You know.
Yeah, that's true.
So like, yeah, I mean, in a vacuum, we probably like Ramiro's qualities more than Barreiro's, but Barreiro's fitting into this defensive system better and better every game. And I at this point, I'd prefer to have him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Jefecito for a bit. What happened to him? He went off after subbing in. He only played like, what was it, 10, 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, so injury report today was that he tweaked his knee. Actually, I didn't actually read the official statement, but did you read it?
No, I didn't. But yeah, it was like a knee sprain.
Yeah, knee sprain.
Yeah, that's all I saw.
Yeah, so he's not going to the national team call-up. I guess he's staying home and recovering. So in the meantime, there's going to be a big hole in the midfield. We'll have to see what happens there as far as Ambriz and who he's going to put there.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't going to be without both him and Aquino. Anyway, because they were both call-ups. So I'm not like, oh, it's like Aquino got called up, and this was Jefecito's chance to show what he can do again. No, because he was going to be with the national team anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. They're going to have to get a little bit creative there. My safe option, we talked about this before. My safe option would be Navarro.
Right.
But I mean, there's several things he could do there. Jefecito, just dude's had a string of bad luck. Just can't get a solid run of play, whether it be bad form, injuries, or a combination of the two, or one relating to the other. Dude just hasn't had a lot of good luck trying to get back to the best that we've seen from him. I'm just glad. Well, I'm not glad he got injured, but I prefer he get injured for club and not for country. Yep. Anyone knowing my thoughts on that matter will not be surprised to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah, tough luck for Jefecito, man. He just can't seem to stay healthy.
Yeah.
Last two injuries were huge. He had surgeries on both ankles, and now it's a knee. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's very injury prone. But we have 5 games left in the season. I'm gonna shoot you off every game, our opponent, and you're gonna tell me win, draw, or loss. Just one word answer. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mazatlan.
Win.
America.
I hate to say it, but draw.
Draw.
Yeah.
Puebla.
Win.
Santos.
It's at home, right?
Yes.
Win.
At Toluca.
At Toluca.
Yes. Sunday match at noon.
I'll go with draw because I think we'll already have the Super Liderato locked up at that point.
All right.
And I think they might rest some guys, and I think that I don't know. It remains to be seen, like what the new coach. There was news that Chepo de la Torre was let go,
right,
from Toluca, and I don't know who they're going to bring in. And if they bring in Hernan Cristante or somebody like that again, like who knows how the players might respond very positively to that, and they might go on a run. Like I don't know where are they in the standings right now? Are they on the outside looking in? Or are they in the 12th still?
Let me check. Pulling that up. Toluca's in 10th.
Okay. They're going to be a team that really wants to stay in the 12. So it would be an extreme embarrassment for anyone really when 12 out of 18 make it, but especially for a team like Toluca to not make it. So yeah, I'll go draw on that one. The only
All
reason
right.
I say draw with America, it could very well be a win, but I don't want to say win for all of them. You know,
Yeah, that's true. That's getting a little greedy.
there's going to be at least one. I'll say this: there's going to be at least one game in there with a disappointing result. So I'll go with the most logical one, being America, because that's by far the strongest opponent we have left to play.
Yeah, I agree. So based on your
Puebla is also another
prediction,
choice. Puebla is another choice too, because we have struggled historically playing away at Puebla.
that's true. Yeah, and they're playing a
Yeah.
little more aggressive this season. I feel like they're much better this season than they have been in. I don't remember how many seasons. I haven't seen them play
Yeah.
this well in I don't remember how long.
Offensively, at least their defense is a dumpster fire.
Yeah,
But,
they're in ninth right now. So based on your predictions, right now we're at 27 points.
Mm-hmm.
Based on your predictions, if your predictions are correct, we should end up with 38 points at the end of the season. Sound
38,
correct?
yeah.
All right. And I agree. I agree.
Well, the
with those.
maximum we can get to is 42, right?
42. Yeah. Yeah. So
42
I
would
agree.
be the maximum, which would
I think.
Sorry, it would break our record for
for
points.
the Clausura?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think we're actually going to beat America. I'm just going to throw that one out there. And Toluca, I think it's going to be a draw. It'll be interesting to see how we play against one of our ex-players, Sambuesa, and how he plays against us.
If we beat America, like right now, we're already in first place, and that Super Liderato is ours to lose. Looking at the schedules of the teams behind us and the games they have left to play, that Super Liderato is ours to lose. We have a pretty light schedule, I would say, comparatively heading down the stretch.
Yeah, especially compared to some of the other top teams.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the preview against Mazatlan. Mazatlan done dirty this weekend by the VAR.
Yeah, were you really surprised by that?
I wasn't, honestly. I mean, it's kind of you kind of just have to expect it now, especially from that team, which I don't want to name.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, let's see, what place are they in right now? They are in 15th. Would you say another Mediogas game that we're going to play?
Probably, especially at home.
Yeah, it's at home on Friday.
Against a team that I don't see very many ways they can hurt us, and a team that I actually haven't heard the latest, but is possibly now going to be without Sebastian Sosa, and not Nico Sosa's brother, but Sebastian Sosa, the goalkeeper.
The goalkeeper, right?
Who never wanted to be part of the Mazatlan project in the first place. Made that clear that he was not. When I read this, I made me respect him. I already respected him. I always thought he was a very, very good goalkeeper and one who made a lot of frustrating saves against us. I always thought he was good, but then I read that he never was on board with the move to Mazatlan. He thought that the Morelia fans were being done an injustice, and that he liked living in Morelia. He didn't want to change cities, like everything. He didn't want to have anything to do with it, but he played ball and he was a good soldier and moved with the rest of the team to Mazatlan. But ever since then has been looking for his exit. So I don't know who their backup keeper is, but I know it's someone probably not as good. And
probably, yeah.
And I guess it's probably it's Fraga, isn't it? Fraga actually started some games for them, didn't he? I think Fraga started some games for them. Yeah, especially now. He was never great. Now he's So I think it's Fraga. Anyway, that's neither here nor there.
So
I don't see.
Fraga, then I expect at least four goals from us.
Yeah. More importantly, I don't see many ways they can exploit us on the other side of the exploit our defense. Really, I don't see many ways they can hurt. They have a few interesting pieces. I mean, we have to remember this is most of the same Morelia team that beat us in the last Liguilla that we played. Without
changed?
Edinson Flores, who was the guy who really killed us.
That's
He was the guy. He was the guy who killed us, and he is no longer with the organization.
Yeah.
Um,
But what changed? Do you think maybe the coach that was let go? I mean, because I never understood why they even let him go. To be
I don't
honest, I mean,
think
he did
he
an
won. I think
awesome
he did.
job
He also didn't want to be part of the
moving
whole.
their whole relocation.
Yeah, it was an ugly situation and a heavily criticized situation in a lot of ways, and I think he kind of just wanted to distance himself from that. He's with Cholos now, isn't he? Or
Yes,
yeah,
he
yeah.
is. Yeah, Pablo Guede. Which I mean,
Which
Cholos haven't been that great either.
no, they're in the same realm as as San Luis and maybe even Toluca, you could say, for talent to production ratio, because they got all of Querétaro's best players and haven't done anything.
Yeah.
Really. And even with Guede, who I think he's a pretty good coach, an above average coach in Liga MX. But yeah, no, Palencia he hasn't had the magic with them. And yeah, I don't see many ways they can hurt us. I mean, guys like, Quick Mendoza can have a game occasionally. Guys like Aristigueta have given us problems in the past. Obviously,
your boy Shaggy's not there anymore.
Our boy Shaggy is not there anymore. Javier's boy Shaggy mostly is not there anymore. So he was he seemed like he was the heart and soul of the team. Aldo Rocha, famous Aldo Rocha, whose most famous or most relevant intervention in this season was that horrible autogol against America. Yeah, that was his most notable intervention of the Guardianes 2020 so far. But he's still there. But yeah, I really don't. I don't see how aside from how much we dislike them and how much we disliked the whole business that went down with the moving of the team and how criticized they were and how they're kind of the new whipping boy of the league, and because of that, everybody can't stand them and all that kind of stuff. Aside from all that, and aside from that, how much we want to beat them because of that, I just don't see how they can come in and get a result. I really don't.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they're going to be anything of a threat, especially with us playing so well at home. We're undefeated at home, have not lost a single game. We've either won or drawn at home.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're pretty efficient at home. I don't see us losing to Mazatlan. No offense to them. I mean, I just don't think they're a good team this season. I mean, I think the whole relocation kind of, I don't know what it did to them. I think it just messed up their vibes, their energy. They were doing really well in Morelia, and then this whole move to Mazatlan just messed up everything for them. But
yeah, and who knows what's gonna come for them. I mean, doing that move in the middle of a pandemic was just the weirdest thing. So they debut in their stadium that nobody's been to yet.
That's true.
And
I hadn't thought of that.
And yeah, they spent so much probably to build that place and to move the team and all this stuff. They can't invest also in players. Like, there's just no way. So I don't know. It's kind of and now they're losing probably their best player, Sebastian Sosa. In my opinion, is probably their best player. So that's hopefully it happens before Friday, because I would much rather it'd be a much more fun, as you say, to see Miguel Fraga in goal instead of Sebastian Sosa.
That's true. So let's see. Predicted lineup. We're gonna be without Cota, who's gonna be out, and Ivan Rodriguez and Pedro Aquino. Is that correct? Or do you know when Peru plays?
I don't know when Peru plays. I should have looked that up beforehand, but I don't know.
They play Peru. They play. Oh, I don't think this is the right schedule. Oh, they play on the 8th, I think. The 8th? Yeah. They play on the 8th, so we still have time. I think Aquino might still be.
Oh, yeah. Then, no, Aquino, if it's not till the 8th, Aquino should definitely still be.
Okay, yeah. So we should only be short Cota and Jefecito.
Yeah, because the fecha FIFA is after this next jornada, right?
Is it? Is it for?
Yeah, because I know. So we play.
It shows
Yeah, we
Mexico
play on
versus
Friday.
Guatemala is on Wednesday. Is it this Wednesday?
Is
But it
it?
shows. It shows Wednesday. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
Wednesday,
Okay.
7 p.m. Yeah. So we're
So
gonna be short a goalkeeper.
we're likely without Cota, but that's, as we know,
That's
again,
okay.
against this kind of opponent especially,
It's
I'm totally
okay.
fine. I'm totally fine with Poncho Blanco. And we should still be with Aquino. Yeah, the official Fecha FIFA, I think, because we play on Friday, and then we don't play again, I believe, until the 19th against America.
That's true. Yes,
So,
that's
yeah,
true.
I think so. Just another interesting note there. I keep talking about how I want the team to save legs, but I noticed, I was looking at the calendario for the Liga MX, and I noticed that there's like a 2-week break between the last match day and the repechaje games. So the last match day is like the 9th of November.
The
8th and 9th. 8th and 9th
Oh,
of
9th.
November.
Yeah, 8th and 9th. Yeah.
And then the repechaje games, according to the calendar that I saw on ligamx.com, the first repechaje games aren't until the 22nd of November.
I wonder
And then the actual Liguilla starts so the repechaje games are played 22nd, and the actual Liguilla starts a couple days later, like on the 25th and 26th, something like that.
why are they doing it that way?
So I don't know. I don't
fresh
know.
legs?
But I guess, yeah, it could be they want to. They're thinking about the fresh legs. It's a weird season as this is, and they want everyone to be able to give their best performance in a Liguilla situation. Because normally, match day 18 happens, and then midweek the following week, the quarterfinals start.
Yeah.
They go right into it. They don't waste any
that's how it's
time. There's arguments to be made both ways. I mean, I guess to do it that way, no, you want the same team that finished the season to be on the same form when they start the Liguilla. You don't want any interruption there, so that you get the exact same product from every one of the teams that made it. And the other one is well, no, you give some teams some time to get back to full strength and fresh legs and start from there and see where it goes.
So does it kind of give an unfair advantage to the teams that are in the repechaje because they get to play a game before they actually enter the Liguilla? It's sort of an unfair advantage, isn't it?
You could look at it one of two ways. Again, yes, it could give them an advantage because you get a little bit of rhythm. But you could also be they're going to have to go all out. Well,
that's true.
Beginning the next game after that, they're going to have to go full on in the next game too. So I don't know. You could look at it as a bit of an advantage rhythm-wise, but not legs-wise, because they're going to come off that rest and then give everything they have, and then just a few days later go into the Liguilla with a fully rested team, a fully rested, probably better team. So yeah, I don't know. You could look at it both ways. I mean, we'll definitely, when we get to that point, I'm sure we'll analyze it no, it's better for Leon to have those extra few days off and come against a tired team and all this stuff. But
yeah. So
yeah.
Against Mazatlan,
but I just noticed that because we talked so much about the tired legs. Yeah.
Yeah. So against Mazatlan, predicted lineup. Who do you think is going to start? I know we talked about Avion and Meneses possibly switching. Obviously the goalkeepers. But do you see anybody else? Maybe do you see any other changes in there that Ambriz is going to tinker with? Because this is a good team to tinker. I mean, if you're going to tinker anytime during the season, this would be a good time.
Tinker. I don't think they're gonna. It's kind of a short turnaround, Sunday to Friday. It might be a time where you think maybe save some legs, but then you remember that there's not another game until the 19th. So I don't think he's going to be worried too much about fatigue. I think he's going to put out his best possible, and also, these are points that you and I am sure both we think all three are going to stay at El Glorioso without mayor problema. But these are points we want to make sure we don't give away a single one. So I think he's gonna I think he's gonna go all out. I guess the question is, I think given that timeline that Aquino should still be available, I don't see him coming out. I think he'll play and start. I guess the only question would be Avion or Meneses. You think Meneses is going to get his starting spot back. If that's the case, I don't see who he starts for other than Avion.
Yeah, I think that's that'll probably be the only change, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Avion, my other thing with him is we talked about how everybody likes to use somewhat inverted wingers, but I don't think Avion is nearly as good on with his off foot as either Mena or Meneses are. Like
Mm-hmm.
I think both of them are much better with their off foot than Avion is. So I think just for that logistical reason, that could be a reason to start Meneses if you are to believe that Meneses is closer to his form that we expect to see from him.
Yeah, and like I
Um,
said, I think this would be a good game that if you wanted to make some changes or shuffle up the lineup, this would be it. So I wouldn't be surprised if we sit one of our strikers and put maybe slide a Joel Campbell in there just to get him a few extra minutes, because he's only been playing like 30, 20 minutes when he subs in. So maybe he's just lacking rhythm, and if he can pick up a goal against a team like this, that's a confidence booster right there.
Yeah, same thing for Nico Sosa. Seems like a good opportunity for him to get his first too. He did. I wanted to see it come against San Luis because his brother had just scored,
Yeah.
and I knew you knew that he was thinking about that.
Yeah.
You knew he was thinking about that,
All
and
right.
you see how much he celebrates. Like he celebrates his teammates' goals more than they do. If
Oh
you
yeah.
if you notice that, like
Yeah.
that's. Like you could tell he's a super competitor and he really loves being a part of this team and he loves seeing his teammates succeed. It seems very genuine.
Yeah, I think
So
that's one of the reasons he's been probably staying in the starting lineup, just having that fire and having the drive to just compete.
yeah.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into prediction time. We don't have Javier here, so take it
No.
away, Louis.
I they've
I thought you
been
were going to
kind
play
of
the jingle.
oh yeah, of course. How silly of me. Prediction time, da 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 da. Prediction time,
There you go.
prediction time, prediction time, prediction time. Do 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 do. Okay.
Wow.
uh,
We should record that and use that instead. Damn,
it
Javier's
was
going to have
totally
to.
improvised. I don't know if I can repeat exactly what I just did. That was completely improvised.
Wow. I hope Javier's watching.
Anyway, yeah, they've been coming up short on all of our ambitious predictions. So I'm kind of reticent to make another ambitious prediction. But I think at home against Mazatlan, a side that doesn't really have one area of strength, at least with the San Luis, you could say no. I mean, when their attack is on, like they can be potent and dangerous. But no, Mazatlan doesn't have one area where you're like where you feel like they can hurt you. I guess the one area will be goalkeeper, but I'm not expecting Sosa to play. So I
Yeah,
don't
he's
see
already.
how
I think they already announced that he's out.
did they.
Yeah, I saw it yesterday.
Okay, because the day they played, they were already talking about it. Like he might already be transferred. Like
Yeah, I saw
they
I
might
saw
be
the
finishing
transfer.
off this transfer in the middle of this game that he's playing in. Basically.
Yeah. No, he should be out.
So if he's out, like that was their biggest strength, I would say, and now they don't have it. I don't see how this finishes anything worse than 3-0, to be honest with you. Like,
Boom.
like they've disappointed us with the ambitious predicting, but I don't see how this one finishes any less than 3-0. 3-0.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. I mean, I don't think. I mean, like I said, with all due respect to our opponents, I just think we're far superior. I don't think we're gonna flex our muscles. I mean, yes, we might have an opportunity to score 5, but I think we're only gonna get 3 in there. And once again, we're gonna keep a clean sheet, and we're gonna continue to be the best defense in the league. So 3-0 for me as well. And also, let's just a side note, it was only me and you who got the correct prediction on the last game.
Yeah.
2-0. Sweet.
I noticed that, yeah, and I was I kind of wanted to be right, so I was like, not only do they not need to score another one, but if they don't, then I'll get their prediction right. So and I have that to flex my muscles on.
Yeah. Nice. All right. So I think that's it. Do you have anything else you want to go over?
Just how boring was that Clásico Joven, you know?
Oh, yeah, dude, all the clásicos were boring
Yeah.
this weekend. I can't. I mean, the Regio was boring. The Joven was boring.
But I
I mean,
mean,
I
that
think
0-0 was exactly what I wanted, so that neither of them would add to their goal total, and neither of them would get 3 points, and we would
yeah,
stay comfortably in first place.
yeah. Only in Liga MX do you not expect Puebla versus Querétaro to be the most exciting game of the weekend,
Yeah.
right? It was a 3-3 draw.
Yeah.
So let me just go over the recap of this weekend. We had Juarez and Atlas. Atlas beat Juarez 1-0. It's pretty good victory for them as they pick up points. And then
Hot take. Atlas
What?
will make the hot take. Atlas will make the repechaje,
I
and
think so too.
they will be one of the surprising winners in the upset or in the upset category.
They've been playing really well. I wouldn't
take.
I wouldn't doubt
Hot
that.
take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Also, we had Chivas versus Mazatlan. We know how that went. Chivas got the win, 2-1. Pumas Necaxa 1-1. Damn, what's going on with Pumas? They had another guy sent off.
They did, but they didn't look like they were really going to take control of that even before that happened. I watched that game.
Yeah, but it was Necaxa, dude.
Yeah.
Necaxa's at the
Yeah,
bottom of the
Necaxa's
table.
bad, and they were playing at home. Really no excuse.
Yeah,
I really wanted them to lose because first they lost the Invicto, but they still had their Invicto at home, you know, which had been going on for however many games, and I really wanted to see them lose that. But it was not to be. But still, I was happy to see them not get the win against Necaxa. Yeah.
All right, then we had Monterrey and Tigres. Tigres got that win 2-0. Tigres kind of slowly just doing their thing, racking up all these points, getting these wins, and they're kind of just like sticking around. Nobody's really talking about them until playoff.
Yeah, well, I think our friend from the Tigres in English content who joined us before that match was saying this was going to be the year that their bad form held for the entire season, and there was no way out of it, and because they had a really back-heavy schedule, all their toughest opponents came at the end. And granted, they still have some tough games to play, but he was like, no, this is the season where usually, they start slow, they come on strong at the end, and they just race to the title. This season's not going to happen. But
they're in fifth.
They're doing it, man. Right, they're doing it, man. As frustrating as it is to see, they're doing it again.
They are.
Yeah,
they are.
But I hope they stay out of the top four. I don't think they can get to first or second even, but they could squeeze into that top four. Maybe it's like fourth, depending on how Pumas finishes or America even. Like they could displace one of those two. But I hope they don't. I hope they have to play the repechaje, and I hope they get upset. Maybe they play Atlas and get upset in that first round. That would be a lot of fun.
Well, if the repechaje started now, they would go up against Atlas.
Huh. Okay, there you go.
So that would be an interesting.
Are they in fifth or sixth?
They're in fifth. Okay. Yeah, they're 3 points behind
yeah.
Pumas right now. So yeah, other games, Cruz Azul America, they drew 0-0. Boring match, man. I expected more out of that. But I'll take, like you said, I'll take the draw because that keeps.
Oh yeah, it's the result that I wanted. You would have liked to see a better game. I mean, Timbers were playing at the same time, and I was mostly watching that game anyway. But a game like that, you would like to see something a little more entertaining. But the result is what we wanted for sure.
Yes, sir. And that pretty much wrapped up the Jornada 12. So, anything else, Louis, before we sign off?
No, I think this was a pretty straightforward week. I can't even do my segment because what am I going to say about Mazatlan? I haven't even ever been to the city of Mazatlan.
That's true. I forgot about your segment.
No, but I don't. There is no segment. Yeah, I have never traveled to Mazatlan, even for just a vacation. So I got nothing to say about Mazatlan. But I'm, if at all possible, to the very first Leon Mazatlan in Mazatlan.
Did you hear anything about public access to the next game?
Oh, that's yeah. We should talk about that. There was I don't know how official of an announcement, but I guess words directly from from Rodrigo Fernandez that in spite of what everybody thought and I guess hoped and prayed, the date and time change of this match against Mazatlan didn't have anything to do with the possibility of fans entering the stadium, and that they're still not, even though the semáforo is probably going to ease up in the state of Guanajuato, that there has to be like a unified announcement from the league and the federation, and that's not that he doesn't expect that to be forthcoming. So for at least this match against Mazatlan, sadly, it appears there will still be no fans, and I'm actually quite disappointed about that. But nothing to be done.
Yeah. It'll open up sooner or later, hopefully. Hopefully, maybe
Yeah.
you'll get some Liga matches in there.
Yeah,
But,
that's what they're saying, that probably for Liga. I'm not worried about, it's only going to be 30% maybe maximum attendance, most likely to begin with. Something along those lines. I'm not worried. I'm a season ticket holder, so I'm sure we'll have first crack at getting in for the games in Leon. I'm
even
worried
if you
about
don't, you're going to find a way to get in there.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's possible for people to go in, I'll find a way in. I mean, if I manage to get into the final against Tigres in the Estadio Universitario, then I can probably get in anywhere. So yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for tonight. That's episode 48 of the Lions Den podcast. Shout out to Cari, Javier, Jose, who I hope are watching. We were a little short-handed today, but hopefully next time we'll have them joining us. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. Make sure to subscribe to the pod and follow us, tweet us. We'll be back next Monday to recap our match against Mazatlan and preview our next match against America.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you guys, and we're signing off.